Oh, yeah. I think you're hearing me. I suspect you're seeing me. Wow. They hear me. Look at them. They even going to tell me. You guys are smart. And if you don't have Tosh Patel's eyes, you'll be able to see me. If you do, you should probably face the other way. Be behind your head. What's up, Cliffy? There we go. Said, like and subscribe, kids. Like and subscribe. Oh, yeah. Hey, welcome back, my friends. Coming to you from the Queen City, Radio City, a snowy, cold city of Cincinnati. Glad that you're here. Glad that, especially those of you, no, not especially those of you. I think, though, especially those of you that came over from Tony's place. I think those of you that came over from the promotions I did on YouTube or from a carrier pigeon bringing you a note or an asteroid falling from the sky and making you rethink your life and say, I've got to go watch Cliff's live stream. Whatever reason you're here, I'm damn glad you're here. And you know, I don't know what that silly Ozark guy's doing, but he keeps getting here earlier. So, you know, he's going to make me have to replan everything I do here. I can't just come in and just, you know, boom, takedown. I'll do a Tony takedown. Okay. Yeah, we'll try that. That frickin' Ozarkian. He comes out, he acts all big, thinks he's tough, you know. Then he goes and he has to go start his own thing and being really successful and insult a whole bunch of other YouTubers who suck. Why does he need to do that? Why? Why, you know, because it needs to be done. Somebody has to tell the truth. Okay, I'm done. I'm letting him in. He's a good man and we want him here.
I take it you listened to the last part of the show, maybe. I don't know.
I didn't catch, but I bet you said some things.
I may have said some things. I may have said some things.
You say things.
I do say things.
I've had folks of my own to say stuff about, and that's only going to increase over time.
Yeah, well, you know, we gotta start being accountable and everyone needs to be accountable. So, well,
and that includes, quite honestly, you and me.
That's right. That's right. They can hold me accountable. Hey, report on me if you want.
Like, I like it when they tell me stuff. For example, I saw on your show, and I bet a lot of you folks are here. You're not huge fans of the chair, huh, guys?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was a member of the great American working class.
You are. Yeah.
I'm not just going out buying a new chair. You guys are kind enough, many of you, to be Patreon members, YouTube, club members, Substack now. That's free, But okay, you came on over there, did that. Take your time when you could be working. You watch this. You give me super chats and super stickers. I wanted you to know that I am a good steward. You know, like Elon Musk always says, we want to be good stewards of their money. Okay, but I really am. I haven't even bought a new chair. I thought you would be proud of me for that.
It's been a long time since but my chair is kind of squeaky. It like squeaks. And like the arm of my chair is like wearing off. So I know what you're going through over there. I know what you're going through. Don't let them
duct tape, Cliff.
Yeah, don't let them chair shame you. Don't let them chair shame you.
I love it. It's fun, man. No shame. Again, we have the ongoing series here. For a while it was would Cliff's mic work? And now that it seems to be working most of the time, I have to come up with other things. For a while there it was, oh my God, Cliff's the whitest human being I've ever seen. So I had somebody come in here and adjust the lights. So I actually look like I maybe have been out in the sun before.
Tone. You have some flesh tone now.
So okay. Now it's got to be the chair. But, one day, folks, just to screw with you, what I might do is just bring somebody else's chair in here, make you think I got a new one, and then go back to this one.
I like
or I'll buy
Tina's
a new one.
suggestion. I'm not gonna lie. I think the duct tape will give you some street cred. Like
Okay.
if you duct tape that shit down, I think it'll give you some street cred.
Okay,
You know what I
that's
mean?
true. Yeah,
I think
it's
it
like when
will.
you grab it does. It's like when you grab somebody in the street, duct tape
Right.
them up and throw them in the back of a van. It's
And don't try something fancy like going and getting like black duct tape because your chair's black. Go get like regular old gray duct tape. And
you
make
think I
sure
could
it's
get like
the
yellow
crappy
or
kind.
blue, like the colors of my.
No. You want the old style duct tape, and you want the cheap kind. Don't spring for the expensive stuff because these prices are high nowadays. These prices are high.
Let me talk to you about this for a second. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
First, you're saying don't go spring for the expensive stuff, and you're talking to a Jew. So let's start with that.
Am I barking up the wrong tree? Am I barking up the wrong tree?
I mean, they just got rid of pennies. Like, I think my people, we're gonna have like some sort of a mourning period. We may have to hold some sort of a.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah. What?
That was the first thing I said to my family, and a joke I made to my family, and they're like, "Don't go say that in your live stream." And here I am.
And here we are. Well, you are on with me, right,
guys? I don't really think that about all of my friends here who are Jewish. I'm making fun of myself. Don't get upset. Okay.
He's only being anti-Semitic to himself.
Exactly. I'm only anti-Semitic towards myself.
Self-deprecating anti-Semitism.
That's right. Okay. There was going to be a part 2 to that, or just in general. Like, again, I'm me. I'm a guy that, like, literally, if you give me an IKEA shelf, I'll make it upside down. I can't fix a freaking thing. You think I'm going to get all high-ended on the duct tape I'm going to go get? Like,
I don't know. I mean, you could go watch like a YouTube video to see how to reupholster it or something like that. But that seems a little out of your league at this point, is what you're saying. At
some point, because I've decided it's time, somebody asked me, and they're very intelligent, like, are you tired of finding all those little black pieces on the floor? I got to admit, that is annoying. So at some point, I've even once or twice gone home and my wife's been like, what the hell's that on your sweater?
What the hell's on your ass? You got black sprinkles all over your butt.
Well, that's from a whole different experience.
Oh,
clowns involved, and it was a birthday party.
It happens. It happens. It happens.
No pun intended, of course. I probably at some point, who knows when, we'll get a new chair, and then this won't happen. But we'll figure that out. I don't think there's an in between here. I'm not duct taping it. At some point, I will find the time and energy to go buy a new chair, and then it shall be done.
Right. I don't know. I think the duct tape's not a bad idea. Like I said, it gives you street cred, especially if you run down to like the dollar store and get the cheapest roll you can find. So it's like half falling off, and then the fan is blowing the duct tape. You know what I mean? Like that would give you that would give real trailer park vibes, if you know what I mean.
Dude, that's what I need, man. I need some advice. Can I hire you as like a trailer park consultant?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I mean, I do. It's ho-hos and ding-dongs. I work for the Twinkies.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Here, Tony. It's very important because somebody here, I think, would like to ask you a question and maybe thinks that they're going to upset you or troll you. So I thought I'd kick it to you.
Let's go. Go ahead.
From the Spice Shed with Tony here, Cliff. It's for me. What's your opinion on lean diet pills? Well, I'd like to use. I'll be honest with you. I like to use them as anal suppositories. If we're really being honest,
let me read the label here and see.
It really suppresses my diet that much more. Is that the answer you were looking for, Spice Shed? I just was wondering.
That's not on the directions, by the way. That's not on the directions. But I
I mean, I'm just trying to answer your question because I know you're obviously asking in good faith a very honest question. So I want to, in good faith, give you a very honest answer.
Right. Well, I think they're trying to say that I'm hawking diet pills for money, and they do sponsor the show for money, but they work. That's the best part is they work.
TMI. You win, Jim. Jim, you have the right to say whatever the hell you want to me. Like you can. I mean, seriously. You are actually, I'm going to let you in because of what you do here. You can also make anti-Semitic jokes. No, it's probably bad for your career. Don't. And I'm going to get the last name Williams unless that was really changed on the boat over. You ain't one of my people.
Don't go down his road, Jim.
Yeah, don't do it, Jim.
This Jew-hating Jew over here.
Thought you'd bash it, but you dodged. Okay. So if you really are looking for an honest answer, Spice Shed, my view on diet pills is like my view on a lot of supplements, some of which I take. I have admitted on here before that I am a bit of a workout freak. It's been tougher this week because this big launchy type thing I've been talking about, relaunch on Substack that I've told you is going to be coming up soon. So I've been working pretty hard, but generally I go to the gym a lot. And guess what? There's a bunch of protein powder and pills that I take. There's a variety of other things I take because I want to get the best workout and be in the best shape possible. Now, if diet pills, I have friends who take diet pills along with healthy meals. And guess what? If it's part of an overall weight loss plan or weight sort of retention plan, they're fine. In fact, many of them actually do a lot of good for people. So I'm not sure what you were expecting from me. Like if you think you're that I'm going to just bash all of them, just the way it went bad. I mean, unless something is by definition 100% bad. Like if you said, hey, what about heroin? I would say, no, that's probably a bad idea. Although, hey, there's a guy now at Health and Human Services who had it, who's
Right.
sticking it in there for 16 years, and he's doing fine. But no. Let's not take this the wrong way, folks. Sometimes when I can't get my hands on the codeine and the morphine at the hospital, actually don't do that. Heroin's horrible and harms people, and I'm not even kidding. That's bad. None of that. But diet pills with food, there are many different supplements when taken responsibly along with food and a proper meal. And especially if you consult a dietitian, a doctor, a variety of people, the guy at my gym who I've taken a number of things there and they've all enhanced my workout and I've looked them all up and made sure they're approved. So I don't know what you're getting at here, dude, but I appreciate your trying. I don't know why you would think I would have an issue with that. If Tony were out here and saying like, I have arsenic pills for you, I'd say, okay, that's probably a bad idea.
Hey, I would, anyone out there who has arsenic pills that would help you lose weight, I might hawk them on my show. So don't count that out.
Would you like to try cyanide pills? I'd say, no, that's bad.
Right.
Unless you're a James Bond villain and you need to make sure you don't talk within 30 seconds, don't do it. But I have known folks who've taken diet pills, various ones, as part of an overall diet, perfectly healthy. So I don't know what else to tell you.
I see one comment before I go here because I do have to go. I got a meeting a real meeting that I got to get to. It's not the squirts from the diet pills. It's a real meeting that I got to get to. But Nature Girl says that she stuck my stickers all over the grocery store. Nature Girl, I told you that was the deal. That if you went and got the stickers, that you wouldn't stick them on the grocery store shelf. I told you specifically not to do that. Please do not make MAGA mad by sticking those stickers all over the grocery store shelves. I don't want anyone to do that.
Don't do that. And this is the last word here for Spice Show.
Yeah.
No, and I want you to hammer it, which is that's a lit of cope. I hadn't heard it put that way before. To defend diet pills in general. Pretty sad, Cliff. Thanks for honesty. Again, I don't know which specific ones Tony is out there with. What I do know is, so I can only speak to them in general. You see, I am not on Tony's show. I don't know but what I will tell you is the ones I know in general, I will speak to that people have taken before. There are plenty of them that are healthy. So you want the specifics of Tony's? Why don't you ask Tony? He's right here.
Yeah, go to my show, go to my website, go to TheTonyMichaels.com, go to TheTonyMichaels.com and find out for yourself. Cliff, I really got to go.
No,
I really gotta go. I gotta go.
Any jokes?
No, I gotta go. No jokes. Just gotta go.
Fine,
I gotta go.
The whole rest of the show, I'm gonna be like, I'm just kidding. God.
All right, Cliff. Thanks for having the audience. Thanks for being here. And Spice Shed, you're brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. Keep it up.
The thing is that this is a broader issue for you, Spice Shed, and other people, which is don't make generalizations about things unless you've got information. Do you have facts you want to come dump in here about the specific ones that Tony is out there selling? I mean, look, we all need sponsors for our shows. Now, what do we want to have associated with our shows? Yeah, there's a limit there. The NRA came to me. That would be fun. I may accept it and then say just the opposite on air. They wouldn't because once Wayne LaPierre referred to me as, quote, what did he call me? Brainless is what he referred to when I was working for Bloomberg on gun stuff. If National Right to Life Committee, I can't say that without putting quotes on it, or just big oil or if it was big pharma or something like that. No, I wouldn't do it on here. But specific items, you're not giving me some like, thing as I made my jokes about cyanide or whatever. Like they're just people that sometimes that are such purity trolls that if you're not, oh my God, is it that Tony is found a way to support his show when YouTube won't even monetize him? What is it your problem is? And if you can come to me with specific problems with what it is he's pushing, okay, then I'll engage with you. Until you come to me with facts and tell me about the stuff that Tony's pushing and say that there is something wrong with it and something provably wrong with it. Not, oh, well, there may be some questions. There's questions about this and I'm drinking it. So, I'm not playing that game. I'll play a game. If I think something's unhealthy, I've told you I won't lie to you. I'll tell you. I don't know the specific ones Tony is sharing on his show. And so therefore I'm not going to critique something that I don't know anything about. I am going to answer you in the way that I think I can answer you. And that's the way I did answer you, which is I've known people who've taken those, just as they've taken other vitamins and other things as part of a healthy diet, and they're perfectly fine. So come to me with more, frankly. Yeah, Ginny and see, let's get back to Joe and Mika. Oh, did Spice Girl take off? Or I just saw that from you. Who said that? Lefty Gramps. Joe and Mika, we can start with them right now because they're fun. We love them. And by that, I mean we hate them. Okay. Joe and Mika, they just won't go away. Does anybody watch anymore? Every time I look at those ratings, they're down lower. I think they've lost 50 to 60% of their audience. I know that there's about a bazillion people in the comments whenever I do one of these things on them that reminds me that I used to watch them and I have not turned them on since they went to go to see Trump. I've not turned them on. I don't watch them anymore. I never watch them. I know a few people personally like that. In fact, one of them is in my family. So I know there are people that have done that. I know there are other people that didn't really watch them regularly, maybe watch them weekly, aren't watching them anymore anyhow. They made their bed and now they're lying in it. And the only question anymore is, what is the corporate reason for Comcast to not fire them? Maybe because Comcast wants to sell MSNBC, spin it off, and they figure they would go so far to the left, in their ridiculous opinion, that they'd have trouble doing it without Joe and Mika there, because I don't really see any other justification. Well, Joe and Mika are at it again. I mean, they went and they simped for Trump and kissed his butt at Mar-a-Lago. It didn't work. Oh, we were just trying. And then they lied to everybody. We're just trying to go and have a conversation. And no, you don't have a conversation with somebody you say is a mortal danger to democracy weeks before. And I pointed out to you what I think I've always known, and I hope you've always known, which is, these guys have perfected the art of flip-flopping like they're on a trampoline. I'm surprised there isn't an Olympic team. I mean, and I've seen plenty of politicians before, but their flip-flops, man, they're something special. They were the biggest promoters and arse kissers, let's just say, of Donald Trump's in 2015. One of the easiest shows for him to go on, spout all of his garbage. They uninterrupted. He just sat there, nodded along. Joe was friends with him, both Florida guys. Trump not really, but kind of, lives there now because if he lived in New York, he'd probably get arrested. And they loved him. Couldn't have him enough. It was like his own personal propaganda hotline. He even would call in sometimes when he couldn't, get his job-esque self up off the bed. Sometimes if cheese doodles pile up in a certain spot, they will weigh you down. And that would happen. But then, it became slightly inconvenient for them to be full-blown MAGA. So they decided on a network that obviously is to the left, center left, I'd call it. It certainly isn't far left. There's liberals on there. Maybe one or two. You might be able to call Chris Hayes leftist. But most of them I would put in the liberal camp, and some of them are even center left. Okay. So they decided it was inconvenient. So they started criticizing things here and there. And they happened to criticize a few things about Trump, forgetting that Trump is Trump. You don't criticize him at all. I'm actually going to speed this up because I'm telling you a story I've told you before. So what ended up happening? Obviously, Trump got offended, as he does when anybody criticizes him. He's ripped into Fox a million times, and he went after them. But the thing about Joe is Joe has an ego just like Trump's. So Joe and Mika couldn't take it, and Joe and Mika flipped out. And Mika doesn't do anything without Joe because Joe gives her that stare on air that makes us all uncomfortable and won't let her talk. And so they both decided they hated Trump, and they spent years ripping into him, calling him a fascist, saying he's horrible, saying he's terrible, to his family, saying he's terrible to this country, saying he's an economic failure, he's a foreign policy, traitor, and all these sorts of things, all of which happen to be true, by the way, but that's not why they were saying it. So what happens the minute it becomes inconvenient The next time, which is inconvenient to be totally anti-Trump, they go back and kiss his butt again. Okay, so this is all history. Well, here's the most recent thing. Now they're propping up Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who in the last week and a half, I don't know how many lawsuits have been filed against him. It may be in the hundreds. Groups across the country have been filing lawsuits. Consumer groups have been filing lawsuits. Security groups have been filing lawsuits. He broke into the Treasury Department. Again, he's not on any real committee. He was never impaneled by the Senate. He's not an elected official. Okay. He's just a doofus with a stupid hat and the kind of grin that makes you either want to puke or do a roundhouse. And he should be nowhere near power because he wasn't elected or appointed to it. But somehow he goes in the Treasury and locks out members of the Oversight Committee who have the right to go in there and see what the hell he's doing. Well, now a judge, A, kicked his butt out of there, and B, they've started to actually look into what he did and found out that he's, of course, a pathological liar, just like Trump. He cannot go without lying. We know for a fact he just stole $80 million from a bank in New York. There was FEMA aid to New York. It was not his, doled out by Biden, and he used the information that he got at Treasury to steal it. It's a bank robbery. I don't care. He's a private citizen. He robbed them. Anybody feeling better about their bank accounts after I just said that? Their health information he had access to, if you're on Medicare or Medicaid? I mean, he's one of the worst humans alive. And so he took this money back. And so now we know that these guys had access much beyond what we were told, read only. No, they got in there. They got into the code. They got into messing around with how Treasury makes payments. One of the guys ends up getting kicked off, but invited back on because he's got a history of racist posts. Really, really intelligent, creative stuff like, I was racist before it was cool. Wow. Aren't you impressive? Did you write that yourself? Did it originally have a rhyme? Could you have used more multisyllabic words? You're smart. And then another one of these little chumpy incels who went in there. What did he just get in trouble for? I can't even remember. I think he's got some old history of either it's racist posts or I don't know. I should have pulled that one up and I forgot. Frankly, who cares? They're all really the same person. They're a bunch of 19 to 24-year-old little Elon wannabes. Apparently, they also want to be losers who nobody likes in school and who women reject constantly and have big holes in the middle of them that make them hate the whole world because they watch around them and see how other people effortlessly get along with each other. And are like, why can't I do that? Why does nobody like me? Why do I suck? All right. So at this point, Joe and Mika are what they are. They're Comcast. They're the absolute embodiment of corporate media rot. The corporate media that allowed fascists back into the Oval Office. The corporate media that enabled along the way, that turned Hillary's emails into a huge story and lied about it, that, you know, fired Jim Acosta, that the guy out at the LA Times, the biotech guy who you know, forced out their what do you call it, opinion editor because they were going to put up a pro Kamala endorsement. And now I said he's going to have some AI to determine if they're being fair and balanced. Oh, how cute. You're so good at newspapering. Washington Post with Bezos, they forced out their cartoonist by not publishing her cartoon. I mean, we can go on this journey all day. Meanwhile, Scott Jennings is just sitting around lying his butt off about everything, proving to everyone that if Wonder Bread came to life, it could have a form in Scott Jennings. Back to Joe and Mika. Somehow they're still on the air, even though they're an embarrassment. Everyone else at the network hates them, always has. They have their own little unit of people that are their contributors, most of whom, remember when they used to have Mark Halpern on, the guy that got how many different women accused and he was found guilty and whatever? I mean, they've always surrounded themselves by the scummiest people, the biggest sycophants. They are corporate media in a nutshell. All they do is exist to push the interests of the powerful and the wealthy of their billionaire owners. Even when, before all this happened, their ratings sucked. And, you know, back then when people used to say, well, their ratings really aren't that high, you know what MSNBC would say, or their people specifically, they would say, the right people watch them. Gee, who are the right people? Who do you think that could be? It's not you and me. It's the corporate CEOs and the lobbyists on K Street in Washington, right? It's the folks that have big piles of money that they can spend on, I don't know, defense contracts and pharma and whatever. Even foreign governments watching, seeing if any little hints are dropped about ways they can get their hands on some stuff in Washington, or if they can glean some intel. The right people were watching them. Seriously, they said that. All they care about is what their billionaire bosses approve of. That's it. That's all they've ever cared about. And their little egos when Trump insulted them. Basically, you know, they're the human equivalent of like animal balloons. Like, it's literally like people blew them up and put their little blown up bodies on a show, and they bob back and forth to whatever it is, you know, whatever direction the corporate wind blows. How about that? And now Musk, they're praising Musk. What worse can this guy do? We know his history of, you know, we're like Trump's of not paying workers, locking workers up overnight. Those ones during the election, he flew up to Michigan, people of color mostly, and just ditched them there. We know his history of how many different women and 11 children. He treats his children, don't know who he is. He treats every woman in his life like crap. He treats people horrendously. Most other folks in that industry can't stand him too, hate him. He's an arrogant ass who thinks he knows more than everybody around him, just like Trump. Oh, I can manage Twitter. I don't need them. I know everything they know. Fires 3/4 of the Twitter staff, buys Twitter for $44 billion. It was only worth 32. Great businessman. And then finds a way to take its value from 32 billion down to 9 billion. Maybe firing 3/4 of that staff and turning your product into something, talk about duct tape, that's duct taped together, that it goes offline and, you know, people are able to access information they shouldn't and all sorts of other stuff. Maybe that's something to do with it. Oh, and by the way, it's the only business that you're not getting corporate subsidies up the wazoo. So you're going to go in and take corporate subsidies back. That's what you're doing, FEMA funds back when you go into a bank. But hilariously, that you wouldn't even be afloat. You'd be in debt like Donald Trump if you didn't have your corporate subsidies. So that's what Joe and Mika are praising. And why did they praise him? Because he stood up in front of the press and answered questions about cutting government funds. Oh my God, that's so amazing. You mean he deigned he lowered himself to answer the media's questions on government policy, on laws he's breaking when he's not in the government and has no right to be doing any of this? Wow, what a hero, Joe. Oh, shucks. So yeah, this is Elon Musk, obviously, as we know. Gutted content moderation, let Nazis all over his platform, which has led numerous European countries to leave Twitter and journalistic organizations and anybody with common sense. He spends half his time kissing Xi's butt in China, because in China, of course, is where his Gigafactory is, and Putin's butt and others that can bail him out because his Tesla sales have crashed. And his Teslas have crashed. But his Tesla sales have crashed. We've talked about that before, too. In this country, parts of California, they're down half more. Nobody wants to buy them anymore. It's a scarlet letter. No prestige left. So Joe and Mika have failed again and again, and now they've decided to adding to the fact that they spent a long time fluffing Trump so that he had a better shot at winning in 2016. Now they're fluffing Musk. Now Musk is fantastic. Oh, and to add insult to injury, they're attacking Democrats and saying that Democrats, I believe on the show the other day, they said they are, quote, helpless and hopeless. Well, you know what? I have a right to criticize Democrats, and probably so do most of you in here when we don't think they're tough enough. But Joe and Mika aren't Democrats. Joe never was. Joe was a right-wing Republican, and oh, guess what he did when he was there in 2000? He was part of Newt Gingrich's revolution, cutting all of the same spending that now Elon wants to cut. He pretends that he was never that way. He wanted to cut the Department of Education. He wanted to randomly look at government and say, we're going to cut X% without looking at the individual programs and the kids and all sorts of other people, the children that might starve because of it. Other people hurt in all sorts of ways, veterans with disabilities, because he doesn't care. So I'm sure in Elon, behind the scenes, yeah, that guy's all right. He answered a couple questions. Wow. And Democrats are helpless and hopeless. No, Joe. No, you're helpless. You're hopeless. You and Mika are completely hopeless. Your show is helpless and hopeless. The fact that MSNBC still has you on means they're helpless and hopeless. And the only thing that will be helpful and hopeful is they kick both your butts off of there pronto. So let's just hope they finally get a clue. And instead of worshiping you two, they realize that you're helpless, you're hopeless, and to kick both of your asses off the channel where they belong. And that has been my takedown of Joe and Mika. I want to, in 10 years, be watching 2 years. 7 months, be watching a Where Are They Now segment on Joe and Mika, because nobody knows where the hell they are. That's my dream. Oh, do we have trolls in here? We have a bot attack? Oh, no. It's a Bitcoin bot. Well, what a shocker. And that, that could lead us to Bitcoin. I wonder why. Could it be that those things, the reason why they're doing a lot of these cuts they're doing, why they're weakening the United States on purpose, as the traders, Elon and and his little gaggle of South African apartheid oligarchs out west, and Donald Trump, that they're doing it because Donnie had a little crypto scam he ran right before he came into power, and may make billions off of it in the end. And I'm sure we'll keep running those scams, and they've realized the absolute wealth they can make from destroying the dollar and trying to get Bitcoin to be the reserve currency. Like, I will ever trust my money in Bitcoin. You guys pull that off, my money will be in euros. And it may be in other currencies around the country. I tend to trust Australia. I tend to trust Canada. A whole bunch of places where I can put my money. I ain't putting it in Bitcoin. But that's what they want to do. It is a fascist ideology that strips the United States down for parts, sells off what they want, pulls back on money that is given to help people. They're sick people, sick people who should be getting help from a psychiatrist, not in the Oval Office. They're sociopaths. They suck. And there's just a little extra added to it. So all of you crypto speculators with the crypto bros and, oh, you Bitcoin, honestly, fuck you. Just get out of here. Go away. All right? Unbelievable. All right, we've gotten past that now. So we have our friends Joe and Mika, and we've discussed them. A couple other things to discuss. Should have told you at the beginning of the show. Getting better at this whole hosting thing, but probably better to give you a lineup of things and stuff. There's another great story in Rolling Stone we can talk about how Elon Musk and X became the biggest purveyors of online information. The tech billionaire always had a problem with telling the truth. Now he's an entire social network built on lies. Shocker, all he does is lie. Then we've got Cash with the faraway eyes. Yes, he made it through committee. Every Republican voted for him. Every one of those Republicans should go down in history as a traitor to their country. Kash Patel has an enemies list. He participated in January 6th, and the fact that Merrick Garland, I can't believe I'm saying that name again, never prosecuted him. He had no argument for immunity. He had no argument for debate clause, as members of Congress might have. There's no argument to defend not prosecuting him at all. They should have, and if you didn't want to talk, good. Throw him in a FedMax prison for a while. That's what should have happened to him. But now this guy that said that we should take apart the FBI because it's the deep state might run the FBI. Guys, we are going, if he ends up in that position, and this just shows you every one of those Republicans are traitors. If he ends up in that position alongside Tulsi ending up at DNI and God knows what, it's open season. China, Russia, Iran, Qatar, Bibi Netanyahu, that goofball down in Argentina, Orban, Erdogan, Xi, the bone saw lovers in Saudi Arabia. Like, you can just buy anybody off. FBI is not going to come after you. How sad and pathetic. Let's see. Judiciary Committee, it was 12-10 because Republicans have a majority. As they say in this article, he previously criticized the FBI's investigation into Trump's potential coordination with Russian meddling in 2016 presidential election. Potential, as in like they had 47,000 different connection points, and Paul Manafort had handed over polling to the Russians. But potential. And Kash Patel helped lie about that. It was the deep state. It was the government. He has potential conflicts of interest given his private sector work. This will shock you. With companies tied to the Kremlin and Chinese Communist Party. Like, no way. He'll be responsible for, of course, counting Russian espionage and treating China as a potential national security threat if he gets to the top of the FBI, which he won't do. But he'll profit off it, I'm sure, as they're infiltrating everything in our country. And he has his FBI enemies list, as I told you. More than 50 current and former U.S. officials who he could potentially target for retribution on Trump's behalf. Yeah, anybody that investigated Trump, looked into Trump, they fired a bunch of the FBI agents that did their job and investigated Trump. And potentially, on top of it all, he was accused on Tuesday of lying to the committees when he told them he didn't know about the ongoing purge of career FBI officials. Whistleblowers have shared notes with Democrats on that committee that says, in fact, he did know about the purge. Led by FBI Director Brian Driscoll and acting FBI Deputy Director Robert Kissany, where they said a group of top officials must resign or be fired. And the quote is, KP wants movement at the FBI. Reciprocal actions for DOJ. They are purging people and putting in their loyalists. That, folks, is called fascism or Stalinism. I don't care that Kash Patel probably can't, if you walk right in front of him, you can hide in front of him, like, and he won't see you because his eyes are like in all different directions. He's a national security threat in so many ways. He is a threat to any individual who believes in the slightest rights of speech and freedom. He's a threat to our national security and in the ways he will enable China and Russia. And 12 Republicans voted for him. They're irredeemable. That party must be destroyed. You politically, literally must. And that's why Democrats need to be aggressive and constant. We're getting better. We're saying things. I have an example about that I'm going to share on this show. It has to happen. Because enough with the comedy and the fake getting along and this and that. They're not a party. They're a cult. They're a fascist one at that. Is there anything else to share here? Oh, Tom Tillis. Great. There you go. Tom Tillis. He'd be one of those votes against him. Brushed off Democrats' concerns. Traitor that he is too. He's been treated unfairly. Yes. A guy that advocated for a coup and advocated for overthrowing basically the FBI and firing agents and defended Trump against everything he did. Yes, that guy was treated unfairly. You guys, you treated like Christina Blasey Ford the way you did. For example, just to pick one person, are saying that, Hunter Biden the way you did. You're saying that that Kash Patel was treated unfairly. Oh, okay, Tom. I think Mr. Patel is going to come and fix an agency that I have great admiration. Just shut up. I'm not going to read his quote. Tom Tillis can go to hell. I hope that's where he belongs. He's a scumbag, a liar, and a traitor who hides in the body of somebody who pretends to be reasonable. Isn't. He's now supported all of their worst nominees. And God, I can't wait until he runs for re-election, hopefully without Trump at the top of the ballot if they don't find a way to extend Trump for 14 terms, because we're going to kick his butt out of there. Without Trump at the top of the ballot, he's hugely beatable. And now just put him on that list is as bad as the rest of them. There's no redeeming qualities about him. What a piece of trash. I don't know that we can stop Patel otherwise. So that may be a done deal now. We needed Tillis as one of those votes. Murkowski, maybe Collins. I don't know where we find any other votes. Amazing. So there you go. There's Kash Patel. Mayor Wedlock seems like a Putin puppet. Yes, he is. I think he's a puppet of a whole bunch of people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So what do you guys got going on? First, let me thank some folks who I missed. Once again, my friend Sheldon Hughes coming through. When does Tony never have anything to say? LOL. Yeah. I think Tony, if he wanted to, can speak for himself at any point in time, whether it's diet pills or anything else. So I find that funny. Thank you very much, as you do every time we're here, Sheldon. It really is important. E.T. Scotsmen are worse than Jews when it comes to money. Responding from earlier. Are they? I've been to Scotland. I didn't see it. I didn't see Nessie either. I loved Scotland. One of my favorite places. Seriously, not just saying that. We're going to list a couple Southern European countries, and then Scotland and Ireland tend to be places I've had the most fun. But when it comes to money, I don't remember that. I remember a great beer. I remember a pretty cool castle in Edinburgh. Remember going up to Inverness and loving it and just being beautiful. Don't remember that. And wow, Peter. We don't even get a last name here, Peter, huh? So I can thank you properly. It's a $50 super sticker. Wow. You don't know how important that is and how that helps me out here in doing this. Thank you so much, Peter, really. Maggie Pie, who's also been a great supporter here a number of times before. $20. What is SEK? I don't even know what that means. Should I? Somebody can explain. In a sane world, Elon Musk would end up in prison. Yeah, in a sane world, he would have been there long ago. And in a sane world, in addition to prison, with a Democratic administration controlling a Justice Department, a Homeland Security Department, earlier from stuff he said, but the minute he pulled that crap with Starlink, turning it off on Ukraine, the minute he also pulled that crap when he issued veiled threats at Kamala Harris, our nominee, there would have been a national security justification for yanking every single defense contract from him. And as he was attacking us on Twitter and using it as a political weapon anyhow, taking it from him. And again, these are the things you need to do to preserve democracy against people like that. You need to fight the ways that they fight. And we had justifications. No, you can't just go and illegally grab it from him. He'd given us national security justifications to, at the very least, pull every damn contract from him and stop giving him government subsidies. But no, that was too much for us to do. I'm going to have a section, by the way, it'll probably go out once a week, maybe more, from the Substack that I'm creating, because there's a main Substack that's just a column, and then there's going to be different sections. And one of them is going to be called, I think, Using Power. We're going to talk about Democrats that use power versus the ones that don't when it's there in front of you. I don't care if people have done it another way in the past. Is it illegal? No, it's not. It's legal, but people used to do it differently. I don't care. We're in a different world than we used to be in. There's a precedent against not doing it. I don't care. Precedents are often based on BS, as I've said. There's a precedent on the filibuster. Mitch McConnell completely destroyed it and started using it for everything. It was almost never used before that. They don't follow precedents. Why do we? In any case, to get off topic. Thank you, Maggie Pie. And Betty Loco's here. 21st Century Suffragettes today at 2 o'clock PST. Let's make sure we get that out there. 5 o'clock Eastern. Can I find you here, Benny Loco, on the YouTube machine to watch it? Let me know where I can find it. And if I am free at 5 o'clock today, I will watch. Because I'd like to have you on, as I said. Then we don't even have to hey, let's chat. Let me see what you guys talk about. We have anything in common. I assume we do because you're here. We're good. We're golden. So thank you all. That was all very kind and very helpful to me in what I do here. So thank you very much for those 5 kind gifts. And I will do it again every time. So lately, there was a while we got a whole bunch of new Patreon members. But now I'm going to say the last 2 we at least have gotten 1 new one each time. So give me 1 Patreon member. Actually, give me 2 or 3. A couple of you, if you're not members at Patreon, yes, you can join for free, and that's totally fine. But we do have a $3 a month level. You definitely can, a lot of you can definitely afford that, especially if you know that right now, and I'm going to bring it up again. If you're paying for a New York Times, a Washington Post, an LA Times, any bad cable channel that you've got, if you're paying like that kind for them, this is what independent media folks, independent creators need. Sure, I'm making some money now on YouTube, but it's not what you think it is. And now these live streams are helping, and soon Substack will help. And hopefully I'll be at a point down the road soon enough where I'll never have to ask you to do that. But right now, you can get extra content at Patreon. And if you can even, if you're one of these people who had never thought about it before, you're new here, on the $10, $25, hell, $50 a month level, if you're somebody who has been lucky in the ways of life, there are all sorts of crazy things. We can have a phone call and just chat. There's Zooms we can do. Even the highest level, we can get together for lunch. You can sit there the whole time and ask me about Tony's diet pills if you want. So go check it out, please. Go, Jim, if you can share it. Go check out Patreon, and I ask a couple of you to sign up today, because the more we grow, the more I can do. It really is that simple an equation. And Lefty Gramps is sitting there telling you Patreon is cool too. And I know he said that Substack is cool before. Jim is nice enough to share where the 21st Century Suffragettes can be found. So now I know. I hope I'm following you guys or subscribed to you guys. Am I? I felt like I did in the past. Did I do that? I see Veronica in here, which is awesome. Veronica, you can make sure we're subscribed to the 21st Century Suffragettes. That would be terrific. And any of you, I want to give you a chance. I'm going to put something else up in a second, but any of you, take a look at that. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, subscribe. We have to all, look, my job, I have to ask for stuff for me, but I'm going to ask for other people too, because we're not going to, we can make it. Many people defeated these kinds of forces before, and Trump and Musk will eventually have a falling out because they're both such idiots, and they'll fight back and forth, and there'll be openings for us to win things back and take things back, whatever. But I promise you, if we're relying only on corporate and right-wing media, it will not happen. My having a voice now with 103,000+ YouTube subscribers and building this platform where we've, the last 2 days, I think we've averaged having about 6,000-7,000 people in here a day. Last week, we got over 20,000 twice. I mean, we're getting those kinds of crowds. We reach people. We message them. We make a difference. Well, so do the 21st century suffragettes, and so does Hal Sparks, so does John Fugelsang, and Stephanie Miller, and Tony Michaels, and, Bob Seska, others. Who did I miss? Give me people I missed. There are a lot of great folks out there. My friend I had on here, Pondering Politics. He's great too. He's got about 450,000 subscribers. He's making a difference. Subscribe there too. Okay, I'll put up what Veronica put up. There you go, guys. Got it. A couple of you, please go subscribe. I don't want to have to keep pushing it, and I hate asking for stuff. I hate asking people for money and subscriptions and whatever, but if I don't, you won't do it. Some of you will do it. If you don't, not as many of you will do it. And if you don't, and not as many of you do it, then there's a point where, either YouTube takes off in a huge way, Substack takes off in a huge way, or I get into a point where this is no longer feasible. Right now it is very feasible. You guys are doing great and really helping me. Danielle Moody. Yes. See that. She's great too. When I used to go on Mary Trump's show, she would be on there. Like Danielle a lot. So appreciate the brave people that you just mentioned, Cliff. And I also love Sherry Jacobus. Yes, I should remember. I was thinking of people that had shows when I said that. Sherry Jacobus doesn't have a show, but I should also think of people that they do great. I mean, Sherry, once we debated on TV. She once was the RNC communications director. Left the minute Trump was the nominee. She has immense knowledge about Republicans, immense knowledge about communications. Is a terrific communicator. I think she's broken. She hasn't been on there that long, and now is it something like 12,000 subscribers? Go help her grow to a point where she can reach more people. We'll all benefit from that. The rude pundit. Thank you, Stephen. That's why I'm hoping there will be a point, and I'm supposed to get a what do you call it? A streaming key from Substack. When I do, so I can add that platform too, and hopefully a larger audience. That can be a day where I can have the rude pundit on, because then I don't care. Because yes, we will get demonetized that day. I love him. He's a great guy. He went on my old podcast, so I'd love to have him on. It just has to be a day where I accept. All right, I'm having him on, and I'm demonetized at YouTube, which I'm okay with, as long as we know that there are other places I can go to that day. Hippie Soul. Why do Republicans hate poor people? Because they hate themselves. I brought that up last time I did that quote from Tombstone. Everything they hate about liberals, poor people, other people, because they feel like failures in many ways. A lot of men sometimes feel economically disempowered, like they're losers. They know they've only made it because they lied about how they feel about all sorts of things to be on the right-wing gravy train, that they never could make it in the real world on their own. They, of course, have issues with flaccidity, let's just say, and other things. They cheat on their wives and can't live up to their biblical pronouncements. They loathe themselves, even if it's just subconscious for that. They are gay or something of that nature and can't accept who they are and be happy with who they are. So they loathe themselves for that. That quote, there's a great big hole in the middle of them. And, they hate everybody for it, and then the why are applying. Well, why is that? Why do they hate them? For being born. That is why they hate the poor, and they hate me and they hate you, because they were born with a massive chip on their shoulder and massive self-loathing. Have you ever noticed how a lot of the right-wingers, Breitbart comes to mind? What's that other one guy's such a loser, who was a comedian, except for he didn't comedy well. I'll have to look him up. I'll come back to him with you. He's one of these jerks, picks fights everybody on Twitter. Every right-winger that mostly who goes out there and tries to be a celebrity fails. That's what Breitbart did, because they're not funny and they're mostly can't act. You see, part of being funny, I mean, this is not me just saying this. This is simple common sense, and studies will show you. Part of being funny and being interesting and being able to act and play music and things like that is that you can put yourself in the position of other people. You have enough empathy, enough understanding of other humans that you can feel their suffering about things. You can understand things that might make them sad, might make them angry, might make them anxious or fearful. Or right wingers don't have that ability because they're narcissists and sociopaths. They're cruel and incompetent and corrupt and stupid. So they can't do it. And so, of course, they hate Hollywood when they go out there, and they inevitably fail. And a couple of them, if you notice, become ultra right wingers as they get older and fail more. I give you Scott Baio. I give you Rob Schneider. I give you, think of other ones. James Woods. When they were younger, you didn't hear any politics out of any of them when they were younger. And they actually, in early Hollywood careers, they were getting parts in movies and on TV shows. But as soon as Hollywood became a place that didn't accept them, they had to find somebody to blame for that. It couldn't be them. It couldn't just be that they weren't that good. It couldn't just be that others now were out there that were better than them, or they hadn't honed their craft well enough, or whatever reason, they were not being hired. So it had to be somebody. Who's that enemy? Oh, the liberal elite. It must be those liberal Hollywooders. They must hate me because I'm a guy. I'm a white guy. And it all stems from that. And see the rest of the world that way too. Same deal. That's where a lot of that comes from. Who are we talking about? She has a YT now, a YouTube. Watch her this morning. I'm not sure who we're talking about. Peter, good shares there. Luke Beasley, great stuff. Adam Mockler, Keith Edwards, Brian Shapiro, Jesse Dollamore, Political Punk. Yep, there's some other good ones in there. What I'll say is, I don't know Adam Mockler, Keith Edwards, and Brian Shapiro. So I don't feel like I want to recommend stuff I'm familiar with. So nothing negative. I've told you I'm not going to do gossip against other people who I think are on the right side of stuff, but for reasons unbeknownst to me, and I never will know, I got part of my start YouTube being invited to go on Jesse Dollamore's show, and then one week he decided to stop inviting me and stop answering my emails. So, I'm not going to say good things about him if you want to know the truth. I'm not going to say bad things about him. You all can decide for yourselves. But there's ways you handle things in life. One of the ways you handle things, if it was perfectly fine, if you didn't want to have me on a show anymore, that's okay. I couldn't go on Bob Seska's show anymore and co-host that podcast because I was being run ragged into the ground. Had no time to get stuff done. I couldn't go on Hal Sparks' show every week anymore. I had to move to every other week. I talked to them about it. I apologized to them. I reached out to them and said, hey, this is the deal. Jesse never told me a thing. I'm not mad about it, but I'm just saying I'm not gonna recommend him as a good person. I don't think good people do stuff like that. So that's all I'm gonna say. You guys go find him if you want, do whatever. But that's my one experience with him, and I don't like lying about stuff, so I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Ojeda Live, Ojeda, I think it's pronounced Ojeda, even though it looks like it should be. He has actually reached out through common friends. On Andrea, who's in here often on, which I should mention. Thank you to my Twitch folks who are here. Andrea's often in there taking care of things for us. So thank you, Twitchers, or whatever you'd like to be called. But in any case, Ojeda wants to come on our show apparently. So I think we're going to make that happen. So if you like him, that should work. Noel Kassler seems really good. I've met him. I went on a show with him one time. I can't speak to knowing him personally, but he seemed like a good dude. Cynthia Russ, ghosting people isn't cool. Yeah. No, it's not. And that's why I'm not going to deny it. I think it was very disrespectful, and I don't think you treat people like that. So again, I'm happy. We've been successful. Luckily the channel took off and this is taking off and Substack's taking off and whatever. But I don't ghost people. There are people who have asked me if and I screw up, granted. So let me be clear. If I don't answer an email of yours one time for 2 weeks, that's not the same thing. That means I get overwhelmed with stuff. Thankfully, Veronica helps me out. And hopefully I will get better and better as I get more and more organized. I have ADHD. I've told you, I work within a system that I try to do that. So I could forget once. I'm talking about, though, I gave it a couple efforts. When you send somebody, when you follow up with somebody with a few calls and emails and say, hey, did I do something wrong? What's going on? And you never hear back. I don't think that's the way you treat people. That's all I'm going to say. I don't need to talk about it anymore because, as I said, I'm not angry about it. Life is good. Life's good here, and good going on Tony's show and Hal's show and performing with Sexy Liberal. I just got invited to go on Stephanie Miller's show again next week, and if we can work it out, that's going to happen. Like, luckily, I got within with a great crowd and whatever, so it ain't a problem. It's just I tell you who I'm going to recommend, and if I don't know much about them, I don't. If I know enough to say I think they're good performers, I tell you that. And if I know, if I know enough to know that they're really good people, like, you should all listen to Bob Seska's podcast. He's a terrific guy. I can tell you he's one of the best people I've met in this business. Tony Michaels is a terrific guy. John Fugelsang is a terrific guy. Stephanie Miller is a terrific non-guy. Hal Sparks is a terrific guy. David Pakman I know personally. I like David Pakman a lot. Really nice guy. There's a list. There's probably some others. I'm sure there are others I'm not thinking of. And so, when that comes up, I'll tell you. There you go. Yeah, good one. I see it up there. How about Sam Cedar of the Majority Report? And that's actually a really good one. Grumpy Cat, considering my history there. I went on there for a number of years with a Friday segment. I have nothing but good things to say about Sam. Sam handled it like a professional. I didn't support Bernie. I supported Hillary. 2016, it upset a lot of Sam's core audience. They spent a lot of time heckling me. It didn't bother me, but didn't want to hurt Sam's show. It wasn't worth it, right? And Sam needed more diversity on his show, which he got eventually with Emma. And I'm not saying that's the only reason why, so don't take it wrong. She's very talented from what I can see. I don't know her. She seems talented. I think he started having Digby on, the blogger, every Friday where I had been going on. So there were a couple reasons, but one of them was his audience got upset. But Sam was terrific. Sam and I are still friends. He handled it like a pro, just to show you. So we talked about it and we said, yeah, okay, I probably shouldn't come on your show anymore. It's probably not best for you or me. And that was what happened. But handled absolutely like professionals. I'd say nothing but good things about Sam Cedar. Boston Brian, hey, I've spoken to Boston Brian once or twice, Sylvan. I see I'm not going to repeat what you're saying here because I don't know that to be true. You have a right to your opinion. But I will say that when I've talked to him, I mean, the dude is running around like, he's still a plumber and he's doing this in between. I don't know. Seems to me like he's a pretty hardworking guy in that great American working class that Tony's talking about. But again, I don't know him that well. I'm just going to say, in all of my interactions, and they're not many, but few, he seems like a good dude. I like somebody who said, I dig Digby. Digby's fantastic. Digby, because I was part of that original blogging crew back in the day when Marcos was blogging and Atrios, if anybody knows who he is anymore, and Crooks and Liars, who still put up my videos. And I knew that original crew. They blogged with some of their places, the early 2000s when I first got involved in this stuff. So I've known Digby for years. She's an absolutely fantastic person. Could not speak more highly of somebody. And then, Benny Loco's here with a shout out to all the suffragettes, which of course, because the suffragettes I've seen in here are, I've heard, first of all, from friends of mine who watch you guys that you're terrific. Second of all, if my friends in here are any indication and what they say about you, you guys are awesome. And if you're any indication, I got nothing but good stuff to say. That's it. I've spoken about Cenk and Anna before and think that they've lost the plot line. And, that was the first gig I ever had on the Young Turks. But I mean, I haven't been on there for over a dozen years. I thought they were losing the plot steadily for years. And now I think they're a bunch of grifters and angry people that just seem to be in it for the controversy and maybe mad because other people started to catch up to them and subscribers. I don't know what the hell they're doing. I can't say why they're doing it. I can say that Cenk I once considered many years ago a personal friend. Now I consider him a danger to democracy just by undermining the cohesiveness of the left. And they seem to be going in a Jimmy Dore, Glenn Greenwald direction. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up being in MAGA in a year or two from now. Anybody, frankly, I'm going to say I personally am insulted when you say, well, MAGA's not my enemy, Joe Biden is. Shut up, honestly. If that's your real view, just shut up. Go do something else. He ain't progressive anymore. Well, Stephen Manning, Driftglass and Blue Gal are great, and they go without saying because I've had them on here as guests. But you're right. Good to remind everyone, okay? Go subscribe to their podcast. They are fantastic people. In a world with honor, they would be multimillionaires from their punditry. And people who've made millions from the punditry, like Glenn Beck and Tucker Carlson and Glenn Greenwald, who's a traitor, they'd all be dirt poor. That's what would happen. Because Driftglass and Blue Gal have been right about everything. So go subscribe. What else we got in here? Well, yeah, Jank is a blowhard. Jank's always been a blowhard. I mean, he's always just like, dude, chill. But now he's a blowhard and he's saying some really dangerous things. Like, MAGA is deporting people. They're threatening people's lives. They've taken away rights from women that lead to women dying. They don't want us to have access to information and other things about medicine. They don't want us to have access to information about dictators abroad and all sorts of things. They want to cut the EPA so that there's more poisons in our water. You drink your water and you get poisoned. You eat your food. I mean, they're evil. So if you're saying MAGA is not your enemy, but Joe Biden is, you've lost the plot line. You're a liar, a grifter, or an imbecile. You choose. I don't know what happened with Anna. I know there was a whole brouhaha over, I think, trans issues, and then she seems to, but I feel like it's a lot more than that. I haven't, watched all of those videos. There seem to be a lot of people doing them, taking them out and going after them on stuff. I'm not interested in the gossip as much. So if somebody wants to give me a quick summary of what Anna has actually said or done, I just know that, yes, I've heard from people I trust and seen stuff where she's been awful too. She was a friend too, not nearly like Jank was, because she came to the show later. There you go, Cynthia Rice. I'll put that up there. I love Bob Seska. Reminds me of home. Bob was on the radio in my hometown. Yeah, Bob was a radio guy from the beginning, which is why he does that great show now. It was the toughest. That is the single toughest decision I've ever had to make professionally. I'm dead serious. Bob Seska offered me a role as like a co-host to be like an Andy Richter to his Conan O'Brien was like a dream. In a perfect world, that'd be a dream job for me. But with everything I'm trying to do with this live stream and my YouTube and my Substack and my other business and my family, and we've got medical issues going on with a member of my family and all of this, I just couldn't. I was running myself ragged, and I can't tell you how hard that was. And we'll promise you, I'm still going to go on. That he said if they need a guest host on Tuesdays here and there, he'll let me know, and I've told him I absolutely will do it. And he's told me if he will, he'll have me back on the Wednesday slot as a guest. Kelly Star, what about the fired IGs? What would you like to know about it? It's anti-democratic. It's anti-constitutional. It's horrible. They've sued. One of these many lawsuits we're talking about against Elon and Trump. And look, the Supreme Court is awful. The Supreme Court is untrustworthy. But even they've had a couple of decisions against Trump, and there's a whole lot of things they've refused to even look at where other courts have decided against Trump. Courts have held up pretty well. That thing I talked about the other day where Abby Phillips made an absolute fool of Scott Jennings, Mr. Whitebread, and more than you even thought he could do to himself, was when he was like, oh, a bunch of liberal judges did this. And she's like, oh, like the first liberal judge that was appointed by Reagan, the second liberal judge appointed by Trump, the third liberal judge also appointed by Reagan, the fourth liberal judge appointed by George W. Bush, and the fifth liberal judge also appointed by Reagan. It was something like that. All 5 judges were appointed by Reagan. Not any of them were even appointed by George H.W. Bush, who one could argue was more moderate than all of those guys by a decent amount, even though he was conservative. Like 3 of the most right-wing presidents we've had in the history of our country. And all 5 judges, including the 2 that Trump appointed himself, have found against him. Judiciary is holding better than I thought so far, which is important. So the fired IGs, we'll see. Really shows how bad U.S. media is. Stephen Manning would have to read and watch Canadian news to get real info about the U.S. Yeah. What I'm hoping is, and the reason why I've told you about this relaunch at Substack is we are going to broaden from an online newsletter I now have that I've sent through email to news. Not just news, trust me, I can't do that. But we're going to bring in a very big personality, a name you've heard that I can't share yet. But we're going to do news. It still will have a political leaning to it because, again, reality has a liberal bias. But I'm still going to do my very partisan stuff. We're going to have other features there for you. But my hope is that for everybody who, needs to be able to get in the morning and the evening, like a roundup of important stuff going on, some good opinion columns, some good short and longer videos. So it'll be multimedia, some good short and longer audio. So numerous pieces by people you've heard of on important issues. That's what we're going to try to do. I saw effing Matt Taibbi in there, and yes, when I was coming up as a writer, because of the way I write, if you're at Substack or you read my columns for the Daily Beast, Matt Taibbi and I had some things in common. We both have a gonzo element to our writing. I used to admire his writing because, that's the kind of writing I like to do and I even looked up to him. And what a loser, what a shill, what a pathetic shadow of himself. Russian money must be a good thing. And before, he texted me, allegedly, I don't know. Maybe he's just lost his mind. Maybe somebody else is paying him money. Maybe he's just a wanker. I don't really know. I don't know what happened to him. Man, did I enjoy his reading back in the day. You couldn't literally sit me down A Clockwork Orange style and pin my eyelids open and make me read something by Matt Taibbi today. Whoa, what did I just do? Hey, I went full screen for a second by mistake. That was my first technical mess up this entire time, guys. Are you proud of me? Thank you, E.T. For the $5 super chat. When the overhead window is skewed so far to the right, everyone that is not in the middle of that window, like old Scott, is now a lefty. Yeah. Well, that's it. The right pushed the overhead window to the right, which is why if you'll notice, and if people don't know, I think most people here would know the concept of the overhead window. What is acceptable discussion? It used to be not acceptable to stand up on a stage and, I don't know, raise your hand in a Heil like you were Eichmann. That would have gotten you removed from politics and removed from public life. Like the overhead window on the right has gone crazy. So that it sort of widens what can be used, what kind of language, what kind of policy, some of their vicious policies towards children. And that's why, again, there are people to the left of me who are good faith people. David Pacman, Sam Cedar, two that come to mind. I'm sure there's others. Farron Cousins. And I support them because the overhead window needs to be wide to the left. I should be a moderate. I think I'd call myself a liberal right now. I believe in the principles of liberalism, but I kind of feel like I wish that the overhead window would go far enough to the left. And people are like, Cliff, man, he's a moderate. Then you'll know we've gotten far enough to the left, that we've expanded our overhead window. That's right. And then there's MUSK needs to deal with Kanye. I mean, is that just performance art at this point? I mean, he said on there, and I quote, "I said no to 3 Make-A-Wish Foundation children." Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It's so cruel and ridiculous. I didn't know what else to do there. I mean, there's all the anti-Semitic stuff, sure, which is bad because it can lead to attacks and whatever. I said no to 3 Make-A-Wish children. The guy's his brain is melted down, and because we have this apartheid-loving idiot running, Twitter, he won't let you say anything bad about him or Trump, but he's going to stick with the free speech thing as long as it's a bigot speaking out. Yeah, many American conservatives are comfortably on the left now. Well, that's, true, right? I mean, I listen to the guys sometimes here and there at Bulwark. I almost feel like they're like me. They're like almost like center-left Democrats at this point. Maybe they're a little bit to the right of me. I probably don't agree with them on everything, but someone like Tim Miller, some of the other ones are center-right, certainly. It's not centrist. And then, traditional conservatives, people that you would have considered very conservative years ago, are like center-right. I wonder what Kanye sees when he looks in the mirror, Kelly. Sir, I don't think vampires can see their own reflection, so I'm going to go with nothing. Otherwise, I'll go with hopefully someone who will end up in hell. What else we got going on, guys? We talk about Kosh. Elizabeth, thank you. Masab Hassan Youssef Ari Palestine. Not sure what that's referring to exactly about that. Thank you for the 199. What I want to share with you. So again, this is about what I said before about Democrats learning how to look. Sometimes it's messaging in a difficult way where you call them out as criminals, where you call them out for assault, where you call out their little guys as incels, which is what Chris Murphy said, like Elon, the weirdo Elon is a little group of incels, I believe he called it. All the way the language with, how the Democrats, the ones that we love, who will take over sooner, hopefully, rather than later, speak about them is the way you speak about them. But sometimes some profanity is necessary too. And so I'm seeing more of that, right? When I've already used some on this show, so I'm going to try not to use more so they don't come after me. But when Jasmine Crockett sort of said, we're not going to put up with any of this BS anymore. When that representative, whose name I'm forgetting in, from Florida said, we got this guy digging in here when we just want to get our MFing tax returns. Like, we have started to, I give you Congressman Robert Garcia, who's been really good at going after them recently. So here you get Brianna Keller asking him, do you think they call on Elon Musk? I don't know how to say this otherwise. So a word that rhymes with this, all right? Because again, I don't know what they're going to nail me for here. Do you think that Elon Musk, that calling Elon Musk a pick is effective messaging? Congressman Robert Garcia, well, he is a pick. And that's spelled with a D. Just right like that, right back on the air. Didn't think about it for a second. That's how you have to talk about them. Again, it sends a message of strength to those watching. It sends a message to people watching that you know what you're about, you have confidence in yourself, and that you're going to talk about bad people in the way you're going to talk about bad people. They're not going to intimidate you. It also sends a message to people on the other side. It's psychological warfare. Some of them are so thin-skinned like Musk, he might lose his mind over it and say something stupid. And it also shows people on the other side that you're not just going to give in to them. There's a lot you can convey with one simple message. It also lets the media know that you've changed, and maybe they'll take you more seriously. That you're not just going to fold. Also, it could be spelled with a PR. Ask, you're right. This one was spelled with a D. So that's important. What else do we have? He's going to talk about that picture, that image of Elon's little goofball son, in the Oval, basically talking trash to Trump and how pathetic it made Trump look with him standing over him. Tony covered a lot of that, but for those who didn't watch Tony's show, I mean, if you saw that, Elon there with his stupid little kid, which again, when you come in and somebody is signing an order, any adult would know, and Elon honestly has the EQ of a 4-year-old, would know that if you're going to bring in a kid young enough who's going to be laughing, making noise, whatever, that's not appropriate. I love kids. I love my own kids, whatever. There are times for kids to be brought to stuff. That was not a moment for that. You know what Elon reminds me of in a creepy way? I got to tell you, he reminds me of Michael Jackson, the way he's got the kids around all the time. Not saying anything, but it's creepy. You don't need to bring your kids around every time you're with Donald Trump, okay? Maybe show up on your own once in a while. Just bring that fat gut of yours and your stupid black MAGA hat. You'll be fine. He did it for memes, I bet you, is what Veronica said. Yeah, that may be true. Yeah, well, we can all use that now. That little kid basically ripping Trump apart. But in any case, again, they're like, we're being run by infants, by people with just, they have no social grace. They have no understanding of the moment, no understanding of how adults are supposed to behave. Again, I think I wrote this on my Substacks. They're both, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are walking, talking versions of imposter syndrome. How is it that a lot of the rest of us get it and those two don't? Those two actually never grew up. The fact that one of them is the president of the United States and the other one's the richest man in the world is mind-blowing. It tells you that you should never get imposter syndrome because there's literally nothing you can't accomplish in this world if those two idiots, those two numbnuts are in the positions they're in. Speaking of Musk, we have a little bit more. So I told you about that Rolling Stone piece, how the tech billionaire has a problem telling the truth. I don't want to read the whole thing and go into it. You should go check it out yourself, but it makes the point that I think is an important one because we know the money that Elon has spent, right? Somewhere approaching $200 million in ads, literally just lying, saying the opposite of each other in Muslim neighborhoods in Dearborn, Michigan, saying how Trump was going to help them, and in Jewish neighborhoods in Philly and places like that, saying how Trump is going to help you. And not that would be, you could help both. I'm not going to details of how he's going to help Muslims and hurt Jews, help Jews and hurt Muslims in the most rabid of those communities. Like he just put on ads that lied about everything. Okay. And we know that he messed with the Twitter algorithm and essentially made it so that like people were seeing Trump's posts like 16 times as often or some ridiculous number as anything about Biden. So he cheated. We don't know what he did otherwise, but we know he did that. And so, it's important to sort of lay down a marker and say, we know he's a serial liar. He looks in the camera and he says stuff that's patently untrue, that you can prove is untrue by what you have in front of you. And then the other day when they called him out, one of those things, he's like, well, oh yeah, I will make mistakes from time to time. Really? Jabroni, don't open your fat mouth if you're not sure it's true. Maybe you could try that. Actually looking the facts up first. Second, I lie from time to time. You lie all the time. We all know it. You lie with the same ease as Donald Trump. You say things that I don't know if you're convinced it's true because you're mentally ill, or you just it's just a zero shame thing and you just lie because it's interesting to you, or it's a combo because I don't think they're mutually exclusive. But whatever it is, you lie constantly and about everything. So all we need to share from this article really is that it said that this social network is really now the largest purveyor of disinformation in the entire world, which is why I said for a while, no man, no woman, no human should have that much power. He should have never been allowed to take it over, considering what he did. And at the point where we knew about the Starlink thing and the threatening Kamala Harris and whatever, it should have been yanked away from him, or a group should have been sent in to overlook him and to regulate him, or quite frankly, it should have been turned into a utility. At this point, if people need to use it for information, if it affects opinions that much, it shouldn't be a private entity. Oh, Cliff, you're a socialist. Wah, that hurts. I'm just predicting what will come from the everybody's socialist crowd. What else we got going on, guys? It's been a little while. As you know, I run on caffeine. I run on obnoxious comments. I run on hopefully some knowledge of history and politics. And I run on super chats and super stickers and Patreon memberships and Substack memberships. So please, anybody can indulge in any of those, again, we would love to have them. If you can join Patreon, that'd be great. Don't know if anybody has during this show. I hope a couple of you do. It would help us. Super chat or super sticker, they help us. Just even going and signing up at Substack helps us. So please do. And also following at YouTube. Any of you not following at YouTube, we've started to take off again, and that's kind of cool. That we're really kind of reaching a point where, that was killing us, the algorithm for those 2 to 3 months. People leaving and that stupid bot invasion of my account. Now we're back to where we're really starting to speed up again. Sheldon Hughes jumping in. Thank you, Sheldon. A gifted membership at YouTube. There you go, folks. Look at that. Anybody want to match Sheldon with something else? With anything else with that? We're not ready for who's coming with me yet. I just thought I'd ask. So many Germans claim to have no idea of the Nazi horrors. WW. Yeah. There was a name for them. They were called, what was it? Ordinary Germans or good Germans. It's in a book about them. The ones who walked around, everything was the same for them. They just were Jews. People who are gay, others who are who are against the administration, whatever, just disappearing from their neighborhoods. And they knew it. People are disappearing. Was like, hey, I got a promotion. I got a bigger house. Somebody gave me the guy's house next to me. He's no longer in it. It just went on like nothing was happening. Always the danger. Kelly Star remind you to click the thumbs up every day. Yes. Like. That's the easiest thing you can do, right? You can like. You can click the thumbs up. Ohio passed SB1 yesterday from lefty-grams on the way to the House. Now it will be illegal for university staff and faculty to strike. My God, what they're going to do to this state. Be real tough for me. I've told you before, I love Cincinnati, but they keep going at this state. I see you this time, Starlene. 3 times I've tried to apologize for yesterday and remind you I'm joking when I say you ignored my message. All right, see? I wasn't upset with you anyhow. Just telling. When I thought it was real, I still wasn't upset with you. I just wanted you to know that, there are times we've had 20,000 people in here, and on the low end lately, we have at least 6. So, that's a lot of people coming through. I miss stuff. But you're joking. That's cool. And I've seen now you're joking. I was never upset. You're awesome, Starlene. I appreciate everything you do, coming by here, being here. 21st century suffragette shorts are funny and sexy. Watch them. How could you not do that, guys? Go over there to 21st century suffragettes. Watch them. They're funny and sexy. And there again, Benny Loco was kind enough to with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. That is awesome. That is awesome. Let's see. Looking around. Oh, I missed some from earlier. I apologize. So Holly Fafo gifted a Cliff's Edge membership. Thank you, Holly. That is very kind. I also know you're over. I've seen you at Substack. I thank you for that. You've commented on some stuff. I've meant to comment back. I think I have on some, maybe not on others. I will do my best. And I missed Gregory Brown, I believe, too. Thank you, Gregory. That is huge. Huge, huge, huge. I really appreciate that. Seriously. Am I understanding correctly that Trump fired all the federal prosecutors? I don't know if he fired all of them. I know that some have been fired, but if he has fired all of them, I either did not see it or it has happened while we've been on here. But you know what? We have the Google machine. So let's look. White House, it's from 57 minutes ago. So White House terminates top federal prosecutors amid DOJ FBI purge. Yeah, they're trying to get rid of everybody that did their job and investigated Trump. I don't know if he did all of them. Let's see. The White House terminated multiple U.S. attorneys, so not all of them, but just probably all the good ones. On Wednesday evening, amid a period of upheaval, so it was last night, the Justice Department initiated by President Donald Trump. Wow. I mean, if upheaval was initiated, it either was Trump or Musk, right? They had a choice, one of those two. They didn't respond to a request for comment. I know, they don't ever. Except for Elon, right? Joe Scarborough, who sometimes will take a couple questions on why he's stealing $80 million from banks in New York and cutting USAID, stuff like that, so that more people die from preventable things. And yeah. U.S. attorneys are nominated by former President Joe Biden, confirmed by the Senate. But it is expected at some point. Often what you'll do is you'll wait a while and you will nominate your own prosecutors. They do have the right to do that. But firing them summarily like that and giving them no notice is Trump behavior, is fascist behavior. Immediate terminations by the White House were a departure from history. Here you go again, departure from history. That would be known as precedent. They don't follow it. We should never again, until we have a democracy, a full-fledged democracy in this country. And what I mean by that is 2 parties that respect democracy. So there's your answer. Not all of them, but a whole lot of them. And probably the best ones. Unbelievable. So there's your answer, Gregory. Thank you again for the $20. That was huge and hugely helpful. USA has no allies anymore, but for fascist Israel. Sylvan. Well, yeah, Bibi Netanyahu is definitely a Trump ally. No doubt about that. Trying to think who else. I mean, there's others that are pretending to be our allies, but they're not really. You're right. And again, when Trump muses about doing things with, going into Denmark, his obsession by force, NATO would be required by Article 5 to respond to us. We would get in a full-fledged war if we did that. Just so you know. That is their responsibility, and France and the United Kingdom and other countries are going to live up to it. And it isn't just, we could bully them because they have nukes. So you can't just go firing nukes. Not that I'd ever do that anyhow to kill innocent people, or just even heavy conventional weapons and destroy them and take over their countries and think they might not respond. France, United Kingdom, pretty sure Italy has nukes too. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know about the rest, but I know Britain and France have them. Nature Girl, we talked about this yesterday. Fetterman stroke out or sell out? Hopefully we'll find out at some point. I see WW say liberals believe in private ownership, and yes, they do. And that's one of the reasons I define myself as a liberal. I believe that anything that, certainly, especially small businesses, but I also believe, and I've said this a million times before, but I feel like I have to say it again and again. Nothing would even approach a monopoly in a Justice Department I ran. I would break apart everything that smelled of monopoly. Nothing. So there'd be real competition, and everything that I would take out of the free market and put into being run by the government would be everything where the profit motive doesn't work and should be our basic necessities. Some other things like, foods and whatever I might leave out there, but there'd be no way there would be enough food for every single person who needs to eat and that kind of thing. But other things that are things that are necessities of life, I think of transportation as one of them. Water, people get charged for water use in your home. None of that. That's all free if I'm in charge. But if I want to start a company where I speak about my, I raise money for Democrats on one end and I speak about my political views on a YouTube channel, on a live stream, and I write about it in a Substack and whatever, I think I should have the absolute right to start that as a private enterprise. If somebody else wants to start a private enterprise that fixes cars, why can't you do that? So that's my feeling. Healthcare, either one of two things. Single payer or a public option. I'd be fine with either. And if we had it like Germany or Belgium or some of those places, if there was a private option that was fantastic, and then you allowed some private guys out there who had to compete, they'd have to compete. Public options don't pay their CEOs $100 million. They don't waste a ton of money on stupid paperwork, R&D they know isn't going to pan out, stuff that just loads their pockets. So they'd have to become more efficient and they'd have to charge people less, or you could just use the public option, which should be open to everybody. I'd be fine with that. But there should be a basic thing. Childcare, absolutely, should be put in the public realm. Everyone should have universal childcare and no one should have to pay for it. So there are a whole bunch of things like that I believe in, but I do believe in private enterprise, and that's why I call myself liberal. All right, what else we got, kids? I'm going to leave a little bit early today, just so you know. There are even some more things going on, family stuff I really don't want to get into. I've kept the mood good on purpose, so I'm going to keep the mood good. We'll probably have another 5 or 10 minutes before we are out of here. Before I have to get out of here is what I'm trying to say to you. So what else is going on that's interesting in the world? Now that I decided I wasn't going to torture myself and read that Elon Musk article. Let's see. Breaking. I know this is going to shock you all. It may not be breaking. It says breaking up here, but I don't know how long I've had this up. Matt Schlapp has been accused again. I don't know what I can say on here, but we can say that, there was a pummeling of junk that happened before. He was sued. I have a friend who I used to do a podcast with, John Aravosis. You may know who he is. He used to frequent certain bars in DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., and often saw Matt there. Said it out loud. And, I mean, that whole marriage is just pathetic that Mercedes just walks around and pretends and now somebody else is accusing him of unwanted advances, let's call them. So Matt Schlapp, just keep denying it, man. I'm sure people will believe it eventually. Deny it for the 15th time, the 20th time. Not sure how many times you're going to keep doing it. I don't know why you can't just stay home and schlap off. There's some good stuff out there you could find. I'm sure that could get you all excited. Schlap off. Do that, man. No, you got to keep going. And in any case, Nature Girl 1999 super sticker. Thank you so much. Wow, we're having a day today, guys. We are having a day. I think 4 of you now come in with, we're going to count 1999 as 20, either 20 or more. 150. We've had a whole bunch of people for 5s. And I mean, don't think I don't appreciate everyone. 2s, and you guys are actually you're helping me. So thank you. And yes, Michael McAndrews, he should go schlap himself, which I bet he does sometimes. Probably while picturing Tom Fitton in those tight, girls volleyball shirts he wears from high school so he can show off his big chest and biceps. There's another one that doesn't have a giant hole inside and doesn't need adulation. Tom Fitton. Can somebody just make him feel better about himself so he doesn't have to try to show off his big man boobs every time? Can somebody please just do that? Wow, that guy is such a weirdo. Another super sticker, Monica Berlin for $3. Thank you. You guys rule. My gosh, are you just hooking me up today? This is the stuff, guys. This could maybe let me get another chair. Jim Williams, 2 sizes too small. I think some of those shirts are, and it is kind of funny that his name is Tom Fitton, right? Tom's shirts that aren't fitting. Is that the joke you just made? I didn't mean to steal it. I'm looking at now, Lynette. Shirts that don't fit him. If that's a joke you were making, then I apologize. I saw that after I said it. He does have man boobs. We all know that. You can see them. You can sort of make them go back and forth. But at some point, if I were debating, I'd be like, Tom, those shirts ain't fitting, pal. I think the Sidwell friend, I don't know if they have girls there. They have girls there? Sidwell friends in private school in DC. Just when the girls shows, they'll be like, I think they want their 10th grade volleyball shirts back. Can you give those back, please? You creep. Michael McAndrews, the chair fund, my man, $2.50. I think the computer fund goes first, but the chair fund will be added to that. Can you imagine what this is going to be? How boring this is going to be when like the computer is completely set, so they'll never have to worry about the mic issue. I mean, it may switch back and forth to these and that. So that mic issue, that's different. But you'll never have to worry that there's something wrong with the USB there. Then the mic works. The lights are set up okay. There isn't like an earthquake here. We had one of those like a year or 2 ago, but very mild. You couldn't feel it. And like I have a new chair. Like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? How are you guys going to mock me? Trust me, there are plenty of ways. One big energy hug to get you through the day. Well, that's to me, Eva. I send the same back in your direction and thank you. Crazy world out there, guys. He needs to take a trip to the Lower East Side and see a tailor, Cliff. Right. My grandfather on my dad's side sold women's coats. Actually, I know that part of the industry, the shmani industry, I believe they called it. There is the obviously the he was on the Lower East Side for a while, and they moved up. Where was it? It was in Midtown. They moved the area where they sold all that great stuff. Get a pardon blanket for your chair. So I get a Trump flag for my chair. Problem is I would deface it in ways that might anger some of them to the point of, I don't know, who knows what they might do. Okay, yeah. I mean, I do think at some point we will get a new new chair. It's just what it is. Trump lived in New York City all his life and never found a good tailor, Cynthia Rice. That is correct. And that's why I still can't believe it. Because again, I was growing up in New York City, lived there 25 years of my life. I was growing, early years up to whatever. And I was living there when this guy, for those that didn't live in New York City, I can't explain to you what a joke he was. what a clown he was. Nobody took him seriously. Nobody could ever imagine this. That's why they made jokes on it in places like The Simpsons and stuff. They couldn't imagine it. They thought it was such a ridiculous future, they had to make fun of it. Yeah, his suits, there's a problem with your suits are like 2 sizes too big and your ties hang down below your balls. Like, learn how to tie a tie, man. I know it's a crappy Trump tie made in China, but like, I had to go to school every day to a place I had to wear a tie for about 10 years up to the 8th grade. And like, if you tie ties enough times, and he has, because he always is in a tie, and he apparently his dad, there's a famous story going on Facebook from somebody that was a roommate or hallmate of his freshman year of Donnie Jr. freshman year in college, where Donald Trump Sr. showed up and Donnie Jr. to take him up from Philly to New York for a Yankees game or something. And Donnie Jr. had his Yankees gear on. Instead of having a suit and tie on, and Don Sr. literally slapped him in the face to the ground in front of everybody. This was an open thing on Facebook, quite seriously. This guy was discussing and said he was. So Don Sr., besides being an abuser, was wearing ties for years. And how is it that he doesn't know how to have the tie go down to your belt about, which is what you do? That's the rule. A little bit below your belt, maybe. Barely. It is pathetic, folks. Trump suits are off the rack. Yeah. Trump suits are off the rack and Trump is on the crack, I think is the way we can put it. I think, guys, we're at that point. I don't have a lot more to talk about today. I am exhausted. I've told you. I apologize. There is something going on serious in my family. That's all I'm going to talk about right now, with someone's health, and it's a challenge. And so I'm keeping happy. I'm thinking about you guys. I'm thinking about all the great things in life. I'm laughing. I'm having fun. But it is a weight on me, and it is something that can kind of challenge sleep sometimes and whatever. I kind of feel like we've had a solid run here, right? But still, today is a nice long version of the program. We're at about 3:40, I believe. So I think we're just about there. So I got to, even though you've been so generous, I got to just do one. Who's coming with me? Come on. Who's coming with me? I just need one. Thank you, by the way, Matthew Tarpley, for saying you understand. Dawn for saying be well. I mean, you guys are the best. Kelly Starr sending love. You guys are terrific. You are family. For community, your family, you're terrific. Thank you for that. That actually honestly means a lot to me, because it hasn't been easy. But I still have to do it. Who's coming up? Sheldon Hughes, of course. Sheldon Hughes is coming with me. Sheldon with the $2 super chat. Folks, I think, and then Francie Ryle, of course, with the $3 super sticker. You guys are the best. Reach out to me, Benny Loco, about the suffragettes and about coming on here. Other folks, reach out about anything and everything. Please join our Patreon. Please subscribe to YouTube. Please join Substack. Seriously, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you all allow me to do this, that you all find me interesting enough to watch, and that this is a growing thing that you're all supporting, that is going to become self-sustaining. And we're going to be in a place where we can make a difference, hopefully have an impact on everything out there. So I could not have gotten here without you. I can tell you that. So keep on keeping on. Have yourself a great evening, as we're not going to be on for a couple of days. Have a great weekend too. Seriously, work hard, do things that improve our country, but play hard too. Relax, have time with the parents, the kids, brothers and sisters, whoever you want. Go see a game, go watch a show, go read something good. Just take care of yourselves, all right? Take care of each other too, as you have all been so kind here and taking care of me. I'm in a moment where it's helpful to me, to be quite honest with you. So many people saying such kind things. It really does make a difference. So have a great weekend. Keep being awesome. And as we say here, as the sun sets slowly in the west, my friends, I bid you a fond farewell.